All right, everyone. Stocks had quite a nice session overall on Thursday. But I tell you what, for such a bullish overall session, it can't be any more disappointing than to see volume lower than the session before and below average overall. So even if volume yesterday was above average, if volume was lower than Wednesday's session, I'd be okay with it if it was above average. But considering Wednesday's volume was below average, today was definitely disappointing. However, if you look at the S&P 500 here, it's closing above its 50-day moving average, and it's already above those recent February highs. So right now, S&P 500, it's moving back onto a soft neutral condition. If we reverse higher and go back below the 50-day moving average on heavier volume, that will switch it immediately back to a sell. So it's kind of a fluid situation right here, but it's not critical, because we're bouncing on below average volume, so you have to take all of this rally with a grain of salt. It got really bearish short term. I cannot believe how quickly sentiment shifts back and forth nowadays. It's just, we really are living in a what happened to yesterday kind of society, where just, oh, if you can hurry up and make it happen yesterday, I would be really happy with that, because, boy, I can't wait till tomorrow. So it's really hard on an end-of-day trend following basis to really, get some pretty outsized alpha whenever you have a market that's just so weird, volatile, choppy, range bound, and then moving higher on lower volume. What are you going to do? But the Dow Jones Industrial Average also had a very strong session. It too retook its 50-day moving average and is above those January, February highs. So it's going back under a soft neutral condition. Nothing concrete yet. Basically, the overall model that I use for all the indexes is still under a clear sell signal. Now, the Russell 2000 had a good day today, but did you notice that the Dow Jones Industrial Average was up about 1.3%, while the Russell 2000 was only up 0.93%, and the NASDAQ was only up 0.87%? That's the wrong leadership. So there's more defensive names leading this rally higher, hence the XLU hitting more new highs than the small caps and technology-related stocks. You can see the Russell 2000 still below its downtrending 50-day moving average. NASDAQ still below its 50-day moving average in most recent highs. And the NASDAQ 100 under the same similar situation. The best-looking index is the Dow Jones Transportation Average. It's back above the 50-day moving average and is so far holding the 50-day moving average support levels. But it will now need to make another set of higher highs before this one switches to neutral. And just to remind everybody, it's been under a very clear hardcore sell signal ever since the end of May back here. So it's been sell signal the whole way, and this will be the first time that it's going to try to go neutral. So we'll see. It looks better than the others. Now, this evening was pretty interesting. Going through the scans, I see a lot of right sides potentially forming. Flag names like WFD, it's too thin to take. CAG, as you can see, that's rounding out along with CALM, food stocks, though. Food, utility. Look at Philip Morris here, our Altria group, hitting new highs. And there's Philip Morris here near new highs, and Lockheed Martin, you can see that that's rounding out a base. So it's still defensive names. So I'm not sure if everybody's too excited short term why they are. I really don't see it yet. But I do see the right sides, but, CAG is good. CRAI off its lows post earnings. That's constructive action. Same as similar situation with TREX. None of those are buyable, but they are very interesting. And then NLST, which has been strong since January, a pocket pivot point signal today. So there are some solid moves out there, but overall most charts look like Amazon and Apple and Google and Netflix and Facebook. That's just not extremely bullish patterns. Where's all my huge green? So there's a lot left to the imagination out there. There's no reason to get too excited just yet. Before I move on to the names I want to focus on, HMY, guys, back here on this day, I thought about this name whenever it made this move here, but Bop went the wrong way, and I was like, you know what, that base isn't long enough. Not changing something up 13% because this tape is crazy. And then it just kept moving higher and higher and higher and higher and higher, and the thing never even touched the 50-day moving average. This is absolutely the kind of price action that's just out of control. And now it's up 198%. So now I don't really feel foolish about passing on this one, but I'm trying to say that it's this kind of tape that's just very difficult to trade in. You can't really beat yourself up for then the next round of stocks I'm going to show you. So SQNS, back on this day, you can see right here. Okay, see this chart pattern? If you go review my past big winners, you will see similar charts to this one right here. You will see the volume surge, you will see the BOP surge, and before I didn't have the pocket pivot point signals triggering on those chart patterns that you'll find on the website. But nowadays, if I go back and back test, I guarantee most of them are going to have pocket pivot point signals too because of their volume BOP surges. Now, what made this one so interesting to me is obviously the uptrend on heavy accumulation with a lot of green BOP. The pullback with absolutely no volume. I mean, look at this. Look at this pullback. Look at how quiet it's getting. Got intraday support on strong volume. Get intraday support here on strong volume. And then quiet during the pullback. So, to be clear, this move right here happens before 2008, before everything starts happening wrong, where signals start faking me out. My win-loss rate starts to go from 65, 60% to around 50% or less, to where the reward-to-risk ratio starts to go for every 5% loss I take, I have 5 stocks that make 20% gains, and now it's like for every 5% loss, I have 1 stock that makes a 10% gain. It's that kind of tape. So whenever I get a signal like this in today's market, obviously I'm not chasing it because anything up 13% from such a tight pattern is very risky to buy in this tape because it could easily pull back. The very next day, it looked exactly like that was going to happen. Heavier volume reversal with the stock closing exactly where it opened. Good thing I didn't go long this name, right? So you would think. Then what happens? What used to happen all the time before 2008? It just continues to march higher because the original signal is so basically quote, quote, perfect. So SQNS, by me passing on it, 4 days, 25% gain missed. That one I can kind of beat myself up over because, you know, before these patterns, before when these patterns worked almost all the time and rarely ever failed, yeah, we take them. We risk a 13% loss. But post-2008, most of these patterns fail. They don't work. It's like everybody sees it now, even though they really don't. That's just delusional paranoia, basically. So SQNS, you know, lesson learned. Maybe we're in this kind of market where if we keep going higher, maybe if we can pull back on low volume, break out to new highs in the market, maybe we get more SQNS type setups. But not going to beat myself too much over that. So that was the only potential, you know, missed opportunity recently. But now tomorrow, potential plays. MNOV has gone supernova. Big intraday reversal off the highs today. I haven't looked at the intraday charts yet. I was gone because we have huge surf. In fact, the Eddie Aikau big wave event is running for the first time in 7 years today on the North Shore of Oahu. It's a huge event where I live. Huge, huge event. So we got giant waves, so I basically focused on that today. But MNOV, big reversal. IB has about 300,000 shares to short. So tomorrow, if at any point it's like trading in the green and it starts to reverse or fade in the morning on heavier volume, I'm going to start looking to go short. If it's green and goes to red, even better. But the bottom line, a breakdown below 615, I don't see why this stock can't at least go all the way back to around the 4s. It isn't the ideal short sale setup, but it is supernova. It is one of the most interesting names. Now, on that end, house cleaning items, RWM, that long that we just took a couple days ago, that has failed. So house cleaning, tiny cut losses. And then DRV, the position I took for RWR in my IRA has failed by closing below the February lows. RWR is still true above those recent February highs. So the only position that was supposed to happen tonight was STMP. STMP was a new long position. This is a CanSlim quality stock, triggering a pocket pivot point signal with another surge in BOP and volume, and a nice overall tight trading range. Volume isn't perfect, but it's not that heavy on the downturn, and got clear accumulation on the right side. Too bad earnings were this evening, and the stock is now up 20% after hours at new all-time highs. So STMP could be a buyable gap-up situation. If it trades, you know, in a small trading range and breaks out to new all-time highs intraday, get long in the morning, you know, for hopefully another move similar to here, here, and here. But on an end-of-day basis, this tape continues to just screw me. If it wasn't for bad luck, I'd have no luck at all. And STMP has proven that, as a beautiful new long signal is void because of earnings this evening. up 20%. Still a possible viable gap up, but no new long positions for Friday.